first item is the administration of the oath of office to the newly elected board members by the board solicitor.
I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution
I'm going to get Steve to check it out, though. I'm going to tell him about it.
and I will bear true allegiance to the same and to the governments established in the United States and this state under the authority of people.
I got on to it.
So help me God. I, Ernest Hubbard, do solemnly swear that I possess the qualifications prescribed by law for the office of member of the Board of Education, and I am not disqualified as a voter pursuant to RS 19-4-1, and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform in all duties of that office according to the best of my ability, so help me God.
You can hear it. Yes, Steve, what's up? Hello. Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
Ms. Avery?
Here.
Mr. Carmen?
Here.
Mrs. Cordero?
Here.
Mr. Days?
Here.
Mrs. Edmondson? Mr. Brett?
Here.
Mr. Hubbard?
Here.
Mr. Noor? The next item for the board to formally accept letter of resignation from Rosemary Hallway. For those of you who know, Rose recently moved out of the township, so she can no longer be a board member. I do have a copy of her letter of resignation before we are interested in seeing it.
Okay. Thank you. That's it.
Do you need a motion, Tim, or no?
I will take a motion.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor? Next is statement of public notice. In accordance with Public Law 231, notice of this meeting was provided to the press, the current, and GTV on January 11, 2014. Notice of this meeting was also posted to the municipal building on January 11, 2014. Item 7 is a report of the annual school election for November 4th, 2014, as attached. The motion to acknowledge receipt of the certified results from the County Board of Elections for the school board election held on November 4th, 2014.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Next item is the election of the office of president of the Board of Education. At this time, I'd like to open nominations for president of the Board of Education.
Nominate Wayne Hubbard.
I'd like to second that, please.
Okay, a motion for Mr. Hubbard, office of president, and a second. Are there any other nominations? Okay, I take a motion to close nominations at this time. Okay, there's a motion on the table to appoint Ernest Hubbard as president of the Board of Education. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, call the vote. Mrs. Cordero?
Yes.
Mr. Days?
Yes.
Mrs. Edmondson?
Yes.
Mr. Carmen?
Yes.
Mrs. Avery?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
And Mr. Hubbard?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, fellow board members, for nominating me and re-electing me as president. I promise you I will support each and every one of you as we move forward in 2015, and also support the administration in going forward as we endeavor another year, another successful year for our students and our taxpayers. So let's move along on the agenda, shall we? I open nominations for the Vice President of the Board of Education.
I second.
Thank you. Is there another nomination from the floor? Can I have a nomination? Can I have a motion to close the nominations then? Thank you. I have a motion to nominate Suzanne Cordero for Vice President of the Board of Education. Do I have a first on that? Beverly, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Carmen?
Here.
Mrs. Evanson?
Yes.
Mr. Days? Yes. Mrs. Avery?
Yes.
Mr. Brett?
Yes.
Mrs. Cordero?
Yes.
And Mr. Hubbard?
Absolutely, yes. You want to stay there? No, that's fine. Yes. Okay, let's move down the agenda. Can I have a motion to appoint Timothy E. Kelly as a safety coordinator for 2014-2015 school year? Can I have a motion to appoint Bowman and Company as public auditor for 2014-15 school year? A motion to appoint William S. Capuccio as attorney for the board for 2014-15 school year. A motion to appoint Jeffrey Gong as school physician for 2014-15 school year. A motion to appoint the Press of Atlantic City as the official newspaper for the Board of Education. A motion to appoint the Press of Atlantic City and the Current for the purpose of the publications for all businesses of the Board of Education. Can I have a motion to do that? Let's stop right there. Let's have a can I have a motion to approve all those that I just mentioned, please?
So moved. Second.
Yes, 10 to 15. I got a first, did I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. All right. Any discussion on those motions? Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Carmen?
Yes.
Mrs. Avery?
Yes.
Mr. Days?
I was abstaining on the 12, yes.
Thank you. Mrs. Evanson?
Yes.
Mr. Brett?
Yes.
Mrs. Cordero?
Yes.
And Mr. Hubbard?
Yes. Okay. All right, number 16, establishment of meetings. Can I have a motion to conduct the regularly scheduled meetings of the Galloway Township Board of Education on Monday of the 2nd and 4th of every month except otherwise designated as presented in the calendar? And item, what is that?
B3, attachment A, attachment B.
B3.
Make a motion to accept attachment B3, second with the movie report. So we'll continue the schedule, I'll explain for our administration.
Okay. I need
Second.
second, okay, now we can have a discussion. Okay, B3 is the one where we meet the 2nd and 4th as opposed to the 3rd and 4th that we currently do. I know there was some discussion amongst some board members. We had a consultation with the solicitor to ensure that, in fact, it doesn't conflict with his schedule. There's nothing there. Now's the time to discuss it. We can change it. We can state what we currently have, or we can change it to this proposal. So now's the time we can have public discussion and debate on it. Does anybody have a preference either way? The administration, I did discuss it with them. The 2nd and 4th does work a little better for them.
I think the 2nd and 4th is better as it gives us more time in between meetings, and then we can cover a little bit more rather than
It gets
jammed up.
right. Anybody else have any comments, Mr. Parman?
No, I think I do like splitting it up.
Anybody else?
All the work. The administration.
Okay. Good, moving on, and that's the motion that is on the official agenda now. Okay, continuing with the motions, motion to approve the Uniform Minimum Charter of Accounts for the state for the New Jersey Public Schools for 2014-15 school year. A motion to approve the shared services agreement, the interlocal services NJSA 40 between Galloway Township Board of Education and the Board of Education of Sterling High School for the 2014-15 school year. A motion to conduct regular meeting of the Galloway Township Board of Education, abiding by the rules and procedures as documented by Robert's Rules. A motion to accept as otherwise provided by law or regulation the fee assessed for the duplication of printing of printed record shall be set by policy 3570. District records and reports. Requests for district records shall be permitted to the records custodian in writing to the bottom of the appropriate form. Copies shall be made at fees not to exceed those set by statute. A motion to adopt all policies and bylaws as set by the manual entitled Bylaws and Policies by the Board of Education of Galloway Township dated September 1978, subsequent amendments and revisions as the sole policies in existence to direct the operations of the school district. A motion to adopt all assets, obligations, and contractual agreements of the previous Board of Education as required by law. A motion to ratify all contracts and agreements previously negotiated by the Board of Education in accordance with the provisions stated herein. Items 16 through 23 as read. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Any discussion as read? Any public comment as read? May I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Days?
Yes.
Mr. Carmen?
Yes.
Mrs. Avery?
Yes.
Mr. Greb?
Yes.
Mrs. Evanson?
Yes.
Mrs. Cordero?
Yes.
Mr. Hubbard?
Yes.
Yeah, finish.
Sorry, I was a little parched. Okay, item 24, adoption of code of ethics. A motion to the adoption and discussion of the code of ethics is approved by the New Jersey School Boards Association as follows. Number 1, I will uphold and enforce all laws, state board rules, and regulations and court orders pertaining to schools. Desired changes should be brought about only through legal and ethical procedures. Number 2, I will make decisions in terms of the ethical welfare of the children, and I will strive for public schools which can meet the individual needs of all the children, regardless of their ability, race, sex, creed, or social standing. Number 3, I will confine my board action to policy making, planning, and appraisal, and I will help frame policies and plans only after the board has consulted those who will be affected by them. Number 4, I will carry out my responsibilities not to administer the schools, but together with my fellow board members to see they were well run. Number 5, I will recognize that the authority rests with the Board of Education, and I will make no personal promises nor take any private action which may compromise the board. Number 6, I will refuse to surrender my independent judgment to special interests or partisan political groups, or to use the schools for personal gain or for the gain of my friends. Number 7, I will hold confidential all matters pertaining to the schools which, if disclosed, would needlessly injure individuals or the schools. But in all other matters, I will provide accurate information and, in concert with my fellow board members, interpret to the staffs the aspirations of the school community for its schools. Number 8, I will vote to appoint the best qualified personnel available after consideration of the recommendation of the chief school administrator. Number 9, I will support and protect school personnel in proper performance of their duties. Number 10, I will refer all complaints to the chief administrative officer, and I will act on such complaints at public meetings only after failure of an administrative solution. Can I have a motion to approve the code of ethics as read, please?
Second.
Thank you. Any board discussion? Any public comment? May I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Days?
Yes.
Mr. Carmen?
Yes.
Mrs. Evanson? Mrs. Avery?
Yes.
Mr. Greb?
Yes.
Mrs. Cordero?
Yes.
Mr. Hubbard?
Yes. Thank you. Okay, at this point in the meeting, I'd like for the board members, take out your pens and pencils, and we will work on committee assignments for 2015. Mr. Noor, as you're well aware, is unfortunately in Florida at this time. I will be seeing him in 2 weeks, I think the 16th. At that time, I will be administering the oath of office to him, and he will take the oath of office then, and then he will assume his responsibilities as board member. Okay? At that time, Mr. Noor will become the Education Foundation representative for us on the Board of Education. On the Facilities Committee, Mr. Carmen, I'm asking that you chair that committee for us. And Mr. Days, will you work with Mr. Carmen on that committee? They will be meeting at night.
What do you think, like,
Right, neither can Mr. Carmen. The Finance Committee, Mr. Noor will be the chair of that committee, and in his absence, Mr. Days will chair that committee until Mr. Noor returns. Mrs. Cordero, I ask that you serve on that committee also. Government Liaison, Mr. Days, I'm asking that you chair that committee. Mr. Greb and Mrs. Avery, would you please serve on that committee with Mr. Days? Negotiations, Mrs. Cordero, I'm asking that you chair that committee. Mr. Noor will serve on that committee, as I will also. The New Jersey School Boards Association and the County Association, Mrs. Cordero, I'm appointing you our delegate, and I'm asking Mrs. Avery to be the alternate in case you do not attend. On the Policy Committee, Mrs. Evanson, I'm asking you to chair the committee again, and I'm asking Mrs. Avery and Mr. Carmen to assist you. On Technology, Mrs. Cordero, I'm asking you to chair it. Mr. Greb and Mrs. Avery, I'm asking you to assist. On the non-voting seat on the Planning Board, Mr. Days, I'm asking you to represent the Board of Education on that committee. On the Township Planning Board, and on the non-voting Zoning Board seat, I'm asking Mr. Greb to represent the Board of Education. I will help you with that, since you're not that familiar with the board side, but I know you're familiar with the zoning board side. So, did everybody get all those, or did I speak too fast? Yeah, I haven't written down. Yep. Okay, that concludes the reorganization part of the meeting.
Can I just, before we go on, can you publish that as well as the new board member information? Thank you.
Is there anything else to be done at this reorganization meeting, Mr. Kelly? Is there any public comment to be held at the reorganization meeting of the Galloway Township Board of Education meeting this evening? If not, then we need to go into a regular meeting because we have some business to conduct.
Thank you, President Hubbard, and good evening, everyone. We have no communications this evening. We do have a presentation by Mr. Kelly, and this is a preliminary budget report. And what you will see in the presentation is information about the current school year, as well as the steps we will be taking as we continue with the budget development process for the 15-16 school year. So I will turn it over to Mr. Kelly.
Thank you. This is, again, our preliminary budget presentation. Obviously, we're in the beginning stages of our budget preparation process. The principals of the department staffs actually have until the end of this week to finish inputting the majority of their budget information into our budget system. And then we'll be running numbers based on various assumptions, assuming flat state aid, et cetera, at that. So the budget process is ongoing at this point. This is more preliminary presentation to see where we are. We're going to look at where we are, or where we are in the current budget, where our expenses are, where our revenues are, where we're going as far as the upcoming year for 15, 16, as well as how we're going. As far as where we are, this is some of our students in one of the peaceful bus presentations that have been going on a number of current budget, as far as the revenue side of things, the district has two major sources of revenue. Local tax levy, which is just over 51% of the budget, and state aid, which is a little over 40%. The remainder is made up of fund balance, and this year, because we did two of our roof projects, withdrawal from capital reserve. But generally, our two major sources of revenue for this district are the local tax levy, which is again a little over 50%, and as well as state aid. You will hear, and I will speak of it when we get into further presentation, we talk about the 2% cap on the budget. The 2% cap actually affects the actual tax levy. So the 2% cap, we can increase our our local share of the tax levy by 2%. Because that makes up half of our revenues, that only allows us to grow our total budget about 1% in any one year, unless we receive additional funding increases in the form of state aid or other revenues. As far as our major costs, as with any district, obviously the majority of our costs are in salaries and benefits. Two of those make up just about 70% of the total cost of the district if we look at health benefits and salaries. And then we have various other categories, transportation, purchase services, supplies, etc. But as in any district, you'll see a similar pattern as far as where our costs go year over year. The Taxpayers Guide to Educational Spending, this is updated every year by the Department of Education. Districts are broken down into various categories. Galloway happens to fall in the category of K-8 districts that have enrollment over 750 students. So as far as that category, we're going to be larger districts in that group. There's actually 84 districts that are in this category right now. So when you're rated against other districts, you say, okay, what other K-8 districts are you? So we're not comparing ourselves to high school districts or K-12 districts. They look at a number of matrix. Dr. Dickman and I will go and visit at the county office on Thursday, I believe it is, where we'll take a seat down with the executive county school business administrator, and she'll review a number of matrix and efficiencies that the DOE looks at. And I'm happy to report again that this year the school district meets all those requirements in a positive way. This information is also on the Department of Education website. If you go to their homepage and click on DOE data, you'll see, I believe it's on the upper right-hand side, there's a taxpayer guide to educational spending, where you can find this information for any school district in the state of New Jersey. This is based on 2 years ago because the audit information for this past year was just uploaded from our audit. This is based on 12-13 information. You can see we're right in the middle as far as spending on cost per pupil, as far as 47 and 84. Administrative-wise, we're actually much lower. We're only 17 at 84 as far as what we spend per pupil on administration in the district. Again, very low on legal services as well as food service contribution. We do make a small contribution to the food service operation. But you'll see that out of 84 districts in our category, we're the fourth lowest. Student-to-teacher ratio, we're on the higher end. We're 66 out of 84. But on the flip side, I think you'll see that administratively, again, we're on the low end. So we're trying to put those resources in the classroom where they're directly affecting students. And again, same thing on the faculty to administrator ratio. You'll see as far as the comparison, we're right in the middle, or very close to the middle as far as cost per pupil. We're higher on the student-to-teacher ratio, and again, much lower on that administrative side of administrative spending. And this comes up in the review when we sit with the county office as well. When they look at our administrative costs, what we're spending on administrative, what we're spending in class. Budget considerations, where are we going for next year? Obviously, every year we review class size. We go through an exhaustive exercise where we take enrollment. We roll it up from the current year, so we'll take all of our kindergartners, we'll move them into first grade. We'll look at how many sections of first grade we have, and then we'll determine if we have enough, if we have too many, or if we're going to need more sections. We do that for every grade moving up. We do that for each individual school as well, so we try to maintain consistency across the elementary schools. We're looking to maintain our programs this year. There are no large new programs that are coming out. Because there are no new series or curriculum purchases going on this year as far as But we will obviously have some replenishment. Some of the new reading materials and math do have consumable materials that are purchased and due every year. On the technology front, we look to continue to expand our technology presence in the district. With the upcoming park testing, it will put a strain and it will be a very good test for the district to see how well we are able to supply students with computers to take those tests, as well as use them in day-to-day. Facilities and maintenance, this past year we completed 2 new roofs, one in Smithville and one in Roland. For the upcoming year, we're looking to continue some of our facilities and maintenance projects, a number of smaller projects throughout the district, as well as some fire alarm replacements at some of the elementary schools. Tax levy cap. Again, we talked about the 2% where we're able to decrease the tax levy in the district. The 2% on the current tax levy is about $609,000. That represents, again, I said about 1% of the budget. So we can grow our budget 1% by maxing out the cap. So the public boards where we do have bank cap that's still available, and that's tax levy that the board was authorized to increase but never did. Should you go to the cap, you also have the ability to utilize this bank cap. Bank cap is actually from the 2012-2013 year. Bank cap exists for 3 years with the current cap law, and then it sunsets and disappears. So that of this $429,000, it's not used in the upcoming budget. The entire amount will disappear and will be unavailable in future years. Net valuation taxable in town, not on the slide, but as we're all aware, we went through a revaluation recently. So net valuation fell about 23%. The old net value was a little over $3.5 billion, and now we're just over $2.7 billion. So what does that equate to? A penny on the tax rate is a little over $271,000. So that 2% or so is about a little over 2 cents. Fund balance, we talked about our sources of revenue. Every year we budget about $2 million in fund balance or so. That amount is, as you can see here, going down slightly. The current year is $2.7 million budgeted in fund balance revenue. These are funds that the district did not spend in prior years, and we're actually required to budget them in the current year in the form of tax relief. This current year, $450,000 of that amount was designated as a deposit to the capital reserve fund, and that helped fund the local portion of the 2 roofing replacements. A little under half of both of those projects, if you remember, are actually being paid for through the state grant from the SBA. Looking forward to next year, for 15-16, we have a little less than about $2.5 million in audited excess surplus. So that's the minimum amount of fund balance that we're required to place in the budget for the upcoming year. There's a calculation where we are not allowed, we're technically not allowed to have excess free balance. So if we have any excess dollars, there's a calculation the auditor performs, which is a little more than 2% over the general fund expenditures for the current year. That serves as our baseline. That's about $900,000. So any amount over that, we're actually required to budget for the upcoming year, and that's our excess surplus. As far as planning, how are we going to get there? The Finance Committee has received, and we've reviewed the budget development calendar. We're in the middle of it right now, as I said. We've met administratively. Different departments are preparing their budgets right now. I've received a number of them already, but the deadline for everyone to have their information to me on the school level to have things inputted into the system is coming Friday. We've already had some meetings, planning district administrators. We will in the upcoming weeks as well. I talked about that enrollment projection, where we revisit enrollment, and we go through a number of other exercises to determine where we want to be as far as moving into the budget. Payroll and benefits projections. I actually completed these today. It was a productive day for me. We're rolling those forward come in, and then he'll meet with me as far as our priorities, what the budget can fund as far as on the maintenance side of things, and repairs, in case any buildings that, repairs that have been requested that we are not anticipating. We're not aware of any at this time, but there are some that come in that will meet and say, okay, the budget we can do X, Y, and Z. Or we have requests for X, Y, and Z, but we may only be able to choose two things with the current budget. Projected staffing meetings, I'll go over that in another minute. Obviously, we have more meetings with board committees, as well as further public presentation. The DOE budget calendar, which was actually released just before Christmas, late February, and I don't have the actual date because it's 48 hours after the governor's state aid figures will be released to the district. I would like to be hopeful and hope for an increase in state aid. I'm not hoping for that this year. The projections that we'll be running will be assuming flat state aid, and I think that is the best case scenario at this point. Because of the move in the election, we actually have a longer term to turn the budget around this year. Normally, we would be setting an preliminary budget, the first week in March. Now, because of the change and move from the election cycle to November, we don't have to do that because we don't have to have the budget ready for a school election. So Friday, March 20th, the tentative budget will be filed with the Department of Education. That can still be changed, so that's just a tentative budget that is filed. In April, Monday, April 20th is the final day to finalize the budget for advertising, which is what goes in the paper, and that's what our public hearing will be based off of. And then based on the calendar, I have tentative here, but based on the calendar that we just approved tonight, our public hearing for the budget should fall on Monday, April 27th, at our regular board meeting. And then the last day, Thursday, May 14th, is the deadline to adopt the budget. We'll likely do that at our first May meeting. That's the timeline that comes out from the DOE as far as deadlines. If we didn't have that change, we wouldn't have as much leeway on that this March 20th. This gives us, almost an extra month to tweak the budget, make any changes that we might need to make to moving and presenting to the board as well. Unknown factors for the upcoming year. The biggest one, obviously, is state aid. It's historically released in late February. That should still be the case this year. And again, we are hoping at this point for flat state aid. I don't know of anyone that's anticipating an increase in state aid this coming year. We did receive a small increase in state aid this past year. In order for the state to claim that PART was not an unfunded mandate, we received an extra $10 per student from the state of New Jersey to fund PART testing. I will say that I can assure you, if you talk to some of our curriculum people, it's going to cost much more than $10 per student to implement the PART. The larger piece is enrollment, and I've spoken with this before, also included the public presentation. Because of everything that's going on locally in Atlantic City and around the county, we're monitoring enrollment very closely. The budget is currently being prepared with enrollment figures from October 15th, which is our official student count date. That's what our state aid will be based off of for the upcoming year. But we will revisit enrollment again on January 30th to see if we have any further declines. Between October 15th, 2013 and October 15th, 2014, so year over year, our on-roll resident district enrollment declined 69 students out of a little over 3,200. So that's not a real huge decline as you take the students or space throughout four elementary schools and a middle school and all those different grades. So we haven't seen a huge drop yet, but obviously we're monitoring it. And again, we will revisit enrollment again with these figures on January 30th. If we see a material change, we'll probably revisit them again if we deem it necessary. If we're still floating around the current number where we were in October, we're probably see in the future, if we're going to have a certain number of students move in to the district that weren't here before, that might have more severe needs than others. That's it at this point. Again, this is a very preliminary presentation, just to get an overview of our procedures. We will be here again, likely the second week in February, I'm guessing, with an update as far as where we are. We'll run numbers at that point, assuming flat state aid, and we also have some committee meetings with the board getting some direction on where we're going on other funds as well. Are there any questions from board members at this time? Any questions from the public? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Timothy. I do have one quick question on the budget. I know we've been reading a lot about Atlantic City's financial crisis. Specifically, I'm concerned about how this affects the Board of Education, where the municipality has warned the Board of Education they may not be able to fund their needs. Have you gotten anything or any concern to us that you received from our municipality because of the crisis in Atlantic City that Galloway may not be able to continue to fund us?
No, I've had no communication at this time. Atlantic City is a very unusual and extraordinary circumstance because of the fact that a significant portion of their local tax base is concentrated in the casinos. That's where they're having a problem, because obviously as casinos are closing, they're going out of business or they're bankrupt. Those businesses are not paying their property taxes. We don't have a concentration like that here in Galloway. So while we have some of the further out effects as far as job losses, and we may have a decline in enrollment as a result, I don't see any specific effect between the township and the school district here in Galloway like we're seeing in Atlantic City.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Harger, question about that. Isn't the township required to make sure we get our monthly payment? They can't withhold anything. They tried once a couple of years ago and had a little bit of hot water over it.
I believe yes, but the issue with Atlantic City, they don't have it. They're just not getting it.
They're not withholding it, they're holding back.
Right. Again,
Because they tried to hold back here one time for a month, several years ago.
Yeah, but that was not what I'm talking about, Rich. I'm talking about the economics, like in Atlantic City. They just don't have the money to pay the school district. I just want to make sure we're not in that situation.
No, and you'll see, there were some articles in the press about I believe Atlantic City used an accelerated tax sale, either a regular tax sale or an accelerated tax sale. I don't recall this past year. And one of the larger ones from Rebel initially, I believe, did not sell, and then it did. Obviously, the city needed those funds partially so it could pay what was owed to the Board of Education. Of Atlantic City.
Right. Thank you for clarification.
Just to clarify.
Okay. The superintendent's report, please.
Thank you, President Hubbard. And I do want to mention one thing about enrollment. We have had a decline, as Mr. Keller mentioned, but I would also tell you, I believe 10 new students enrolled today. And so one of the things that I think is also happening with the economy is family may live in another community, perhaps cannot keep that home, or they find it a less expensive place to rent, and so they're leaving somewhere else. So, as Mr. Kelly said, we are monitoring it, and, we were expecting October 15th, I think, to be even more of a decline, but we also have children coming in. So that was just interesting on the first day back. Registration was busy all day long. I do have one item for action this evening under the superintendent's report. It's a resolution to accept, modify, or reject the harassment, intimidation, and bullying report presented to the board on December 15, 2014 for the reporting period of November 20 through December 10, 2014.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to accept the harassment, intimidation, and bullying report that was presented to this board on December 15, 2014 for the reporting period of November 20, 2014 through December 10, 2014, please?
Second.
Thank you. Any board discussion? Any public comment? Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Harmon?
Yes.
Mrs. Evanson?
Yes.
Mr. Grab?
Yes.
Mrs. Avery?
Yes.
Mr. Days?
Yes.
Mrs. Cordero?
Yes.
Mr. Hubbard?
Yes.
Thank you. We have no items in curriculum, finance, facilities, or community use of school facility. In personnel, we do have a resolution to approve Omanatasi Abugigi. Please excuse me, I do not know if that was exactly right. This is the woman who has been being hired as our part-time health services aide at Galloway Township Middle School for the 2014-15 school year, effective January 6th through June 30th, 2015. The salary, terms and conditions are listed. You will note that is a part-time salary. The person, the individual, Oma is her name, for those who use her first name, does have an LPN and comes with experience from outside of the school setting. This is a new position previously discussed with the board, but it is a replacement in lieu of a full-time, fully certified school nurse.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve item number 1 under personnel, please?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any board discussion? Any public comment? Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Days?
Yes.
Mr. Harmon?
Yes.
Mrs. Evanson?
Yes.
Mrs. Avery?
Yes.
Mr. Grab?
Yes.
Mrs. Cordero?
Yes.
And Mr. Hubbard?
Yes.
Thank you.
Policy, please.
Yes. Under policy, we have approval of 5 different policies, all on second reading. 5120 is assessment of individual needs. 3542 is local wellness and nutrition. 5131 is drugs, alcohol, steroids, and tobacco. 4119 and 4219 are electronic communication by school staff. And 5113 is attendance, absences, and excuses.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve items 1 through 5 inclusive under policy, please?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Beverly, you have anything you want to add?
I was just grateful to the superintendent. On number 5, there's the policy about attendance. Our current district webpage, she mentioned to parents, the important thing that you do by assisting your students in the school and that they not move. So that reinforces it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other board comment? Any public comment at this time? Can I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Evanson?
Yes.
Mrs. Avery?
Yes.
Mr. Days?
Yes.
Mr. Harmon?
Yes.
Mr. Grab?
Yes.
Mrs. Cordero?
Yes.
And Mr. Hubbard?
Yes. Thank you. Notice of public meetings, please.
Yes, and it is now no longer tentative. January 26th, 2015 is our next regular Board of Education meeting, 7 o'clock here in GTMS. January 30th and 31st are the Board Institute or Retreat at Congress Hall in Cape May. And just a reminder for the public, the Board of Education members and administration cover all the costs of that institute ourselves personally. That is not funded by the school district. 2 special events, one new one this year. On February 5th, we are doing a family outreach. We are working with an economic council that has been formed in Atlantic County. Fran Wise is actually a Galloway resident and grandmother. It spearheads this, and we're actually going to be bringing a variety of services for families in need, be it economic need, or other challenges that come when families are having economic difficulty. HR will be here, so we can tell people what kinds of jobs, we have a lot of different substitutes kind of positions that are available. counseling services. So we will be having these different community organizations register so we know who is attending, and we will be publicizing this to our families. And it's just something we decided to do as a public service, because there are so many different places a family might need to connect with when they do need assistance. So we thought by bringing them all into one location, it could benefit our parents and guardians. So that is February 5th. We'll see how it goes. And then the annual district wellness fair is scheduled for March 19th. Although we didn't do one last year, we decided to go every other year. And I do need to indicate that the GTEA is assisting us with both of these events by writing NJEA Pride grants to help defray some of the costs and make sure we have refreshments and things of that nature. So more to come about both of those events.
The wellness fair, does the land care participate in that?
They always have President Hubbard, so I would anticipate they would again this year.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Nothing old business, new business, all right. Do we have anything in closed session?
We have nothing for closed session. I will note that Mr. Kelly and I have talked, and he does have prepared an advertisement for the vacancy for legal seat that will get advertised for.
Good. Okay. All right, well then we'll go around the board this evening, and we'll start with Mr. Harmon this evening.
Welcome to 2015, and Mr. Gregg, look forward to another successful school year. That is it, President.
Thank you. Beverly?
Welcome to Mr. Greer, and congratulations to you and Suzette. After a good year of leadership, you re-elected.
Thank you. Madeline?
Congratulations, Mike. Can't wait for your interesting perspective on things. And Happy New Year.
Thank you. Rich?
Welcome, Mike. Long time no see. We'll lose our public now. He's up here sitting at the table. And I hope everyone has a safe, healthy, and happy New Year. Welcome, God bless you.
Thank you. Mike?
Thank you for the welcome. Happy New Year, and glad to be up here. Maybe I can make my wife come next time too.
Is that?
I just welcome Mike and hope we can find somebody to fill Rosie's shoes as well.
Very true. Thank you. I have a couple things. First of all, welcome, Mike. Look forward to working with you. Committee chairs, you've got about 60 to 90 days to get your committees organized and get them together. If you want, we can talk and sit down, meet with your respective people, call the net, please, like technology, get that meeting started. I know policy is when something pops up in policy. Finance obviously meets monthly. Dave, you and facilities, I guess your projects are coming along right down the pipeline. I know with Timothy Kelly on the fire alarms. And so what I'm basically saying is let's start off the year right. Let's get a meeting scheduled the first 60 to 90 days to get this thing rolling. The end of the month is our retreat. First things first, you must complete the board self-evaluation. That has to be done by the 15th. I know for a fact it's working. I was on the website this afternoon, the New Jersey School Boards Association website. It is up and running. I tried to get it. It does work. I've got through 90% of it, so Mike, you are pretty much excused from this because you haven't spent the last year with us, but you're more than welcome to go in and see what it's all about. But obviously you are excused from filling it out and answering the question. You can obviously go in and look at it. The administration is required to do part of it, so don't forget. So please get that done. I will be meeting with Jane Kirshner in the next couple of weeks to go over the agenda for the retreat. So we'll have a fun-filled, eventful retreat. Tim's going to have some budget items for us at the retreat. It may not be Tim, whether his wife has birth that weekend or not, we don't know, but we'll be prepared.
Give us reason to celebrate.
Yes. Lastly, with the departure of Rosie, that opens up a vacancy on the board. We're going to advertise it tomorrow. We'll take a look at the applications, and as always, the board, at its discretion, may or may not interview for the candidacies for that position. And, we'll discuss it and let everybody know how the process is going. I think we'll give them basically 10 days to reply, and then we'll go through our normal process. Okay? So, with that being said, is there any public comment to come before this Board of Education this evening? Hearing none? Nothing, Bill, to go for you closed, right? All right. And this is the favorite part of the meeting. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
We were slow this evening. All those in favor? Opposed? Abstained? The ayes have it. Good night.